Hey everybody, welcome back. If you are listening to that sound, it can only mean one thing.
It's time for another episode of the Mannschrecks, a commentary on Christian life and culture from a pastor's wife and her sidekick.
That's me.
I am your best host, Sara Mannschreck.
And I'm that other one, JJ Mannschreck. And we are very excited to be back for another episode. All right, are you ready to approach the news desk?
I am ready.
I'm so excited. Okay. So, first story is coming to us from natureworldnews.com. And it's kind of, how do I say this? It's like, it feels like the beginning of a horror movie.
Oh.
Right? Okay, so, gene editing experiment accidentally turns adorable hamsters into rageful monsters.
What?
I know. I can think of at least 2 horror movies or blockbuster big Hollywood movies that have this premise. Hamsters are not only known for being fluffy and affectionate, but also for their social intelligence when it comes to interacting with their co-species. Apparently, hamsters are the subject of most medical experiments. There's lots of hamsters used. The Syrian hamsters, known as the experimental hamster, quote unquote, or the laboratory hamster.
Okay.
As far as animal testing for scientific advancement. However, a new study in the United States reportedly used a controversial gene editing technology that accidentally turned the sociable Syrian hamsters into aggressive, and this is quote, mutant-like animals.
What?
I feel like
This is weird.
if you're a scientist in a lab, you shouldn't be using words like mutant-like. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, guys.
It's a little extreme.
Was that scientists in the study were surprised since their reported experimental objective was to increase camaraderie and socialization in the hamsters.
So then why was it controversial?
The goal was to make them nicer, and it went the other way and made them much worse. The controversial part, it says using the controversial CRISPR technology, so it's CRISPR technology, scientists from Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois, have accidentally turned Syrian hamsters into so-called mutant rage monsters. Or extremely aggressive animals as a part of a gene editing experiment gone wrong.
Oh, wow.
This study
is terrifying.
Do you remember the scene in, what movie was that? The Amazing Spider-Man, where they inject the hamster, right?
Yes.
Or maybe it was a
And
mouse.
It's a lab rat.
Yeah.
And it's eating the other one.
Yeah, right? And it's this big mutant, right? That's what I'm imagining with
that's exactly what I'm imagining now, too.
So apparently, in an attempt to improve their sociable behavior, the research team attempted to remove, and this is the name of the gene, it's AVPR1A, which has been reported to be responsible for regulating behaviors like teamwork, friendship, dominance, and bonding. Professor Elliot Albers, a lead researcher in the study, stated that they were surprised with the experiment's results.
That is horrifying. So don't buy any of those hamsters. Oh my gosh.
They're we're gonna go in and we're gonna mess around with this gene, right? I feel like it's kind of like Jurassic Park but with hamsters.
So smaller and less threatening.
Still
terrifying.
In the study, the U.S.-based scientists observed the experimental subjects showed high levels of aggressive behavior towards their fellow same-sex hamsters. The behavior exhibited includes biting, chasing, and pinning when the gene-altered hamsters were exposed to the non-aggressive ones in a neutral environment.
Wow. That's a mental picture.
Horrifying mutant hamster. I guess I'm grateful they tried it on little hamsters and not
goats,
lions, or alligators, or
those more aggressive creatures would have been better. I don't know why I went for goats.
Goats, yeah, terrifying goats.
That is terrifying though. Hamsters, the cutest little cuddly little, pet you could have as a kid, and
I don't know. We had hamsters when I was growing up.
I didn't have a hamster.
My brother had a hamster, and it always bit me. And I always used to, I just thought hamsters were these mean little things.
I never had a hamster or a gerbil. I had friends that had guinea pigs. I thought guinea pigs were cute, but I never had any of those type of pets.
We found out later that like it's a big thing when you're holding hamsters. For number one, they're so small that they're really scared, right? So if you squeeze them or pick them up too quick or anything, they freak out.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. It's a defense.
But also you have to like make sure you wash your hands, because if you pick them up and your hand smells yummy, like if you have like
They'll
food
think it's
residue,
food,
yeah, and so they'll bite you trying to eat whatever's on your hand.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so we used to. I was not careful enough, so we used to get bit a lot. Well, let's see. So following the results, the unprecedented results, the lead author acknowledged the reality that humans still have a limited understanding when it comes to the system involving this thing, vasopressin and AVPR1A.
Whew. So don't test that again.
Basically, we got scientists admitting,
Back to the research table.
yeah, we don't know what we're doing. We're just going to go in and poke around with these genes and like... Honestly, just the monologue from the what's his face, Jeff Goldblum gives in the most recent Jurassic Park movie, where he's just like, we have no idea what we're doing and we should stop doing that.
Yep. Yeah. Come on, Jeff Goldblum. Come narrate this news story for us.
I hate to think of like Hollywood as prophetic, but how many times have we been warned by the culture, hey, don't do that.
Probably a bad idea.
We don't know anything about gene editing stuff. And I'm sure there's some cool stuff. Like they're probably going to figure out ways to solve all kinds of, terrible diseases and stuff. And I'm grateful. But also they're creating monster mutant hamsters. So
as long as they're not getting bigger, we're okay.
oh my gosh. That was the thing in Spider-Man, was that hamster was like the size of a cat by the end of it. That was terrifying.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
All right, into much happier news. Now, I don't know if you remember this. This is a story that we talked about like 2 years ago. Or no, a year ago. Do you remember the Josh fight? Maybe. Okay, so what it was is there was a guy named Josh Swain. And on the internet, he created he's from Tucson, Arizona. And he made a group, I think it was like on Facebook or something, of 8 other Josh Swains that he knew. He has such a common name. And so he made this group, and he's like, I know you're probably wondering why I brought you all together. And one of the other guys was like, it's because we all have the exact same name. And he's like, yeah, I think we should fight over who gets to keep the name Josh Swain. Now, it's just a joke, right? He made a joke about an internet group, and everybody in the group has the same name. Okay. Then he sent out a tweet challenging anyone who has the name Josh to fight him, right? Again, just a joke, internet. There's a lot of Joshes in the world, so he was like, I challenge you to fight me. However, because April of 2020 was like the most boring time ever, like people really got into it. And so a year later, he actually coordinated a real event in Lincoln, Nebraska. He says the enthusiasm from everyone was just incredible, he told the Lincoln Journal-Star. And so what they did was they got together, and this happened last year. Okay. There was the Josh fight, and people showed up, and it was like a big super soaker water fight thing, and they hit each other with foam stuff, and maybe it was a pillow fight. I don't really know, but the Josh fight happened last year. And it was a couple hours long, and hundreds of people named Josh showed up.
That's so weird.
You don't remember that story?
No, I do not remember this.
I told you that story like a year ago. I thought it was such a funny story. So now, a year later, on May 22nd, 2022, as ABC News reports, Josh fight once again attracts hundreds. This is the second annual Josh fight.
No, this is like a thing.
This is like a thing, and it was a pool noodle fight this time.
Oh my.
They decided to use pool noodles to fight each other. This is from the Associated Press. A couple hundred people grabbed their pool noodles and headed to a Nebraska park again this weekend to battle over the right to the name Josh. Wow. Several of the competitors this year donned costumes, including masks, animal suits, football helmets, before heading out to Bowling Lake Park. But that wasn't enough to dethrone 5-year-old Josh Vincent Jr., who defended his title as the #1 Josh. Last year, they crowned a 4 or 5-year-old kid who was there named Josh. They said, you are the #1 Josh.
That is so cute.
Isn't that just amazing? I love it. But Saturday's event raised nearly $21,000 for Children's Hospital and Medical Center in Omaha.
Wow.
Isn't that just amazing?
That's really cool.
Although, I do want to note that there is a typo on this. It says 21, and then there's a period and 3 zeros.
Oh, dear.
I'm pretty sure they mean $21,000, but technically this reads as they raised nearly $21.
Well, maybe if everybody bought a couple quarters. Then.
Some guy threw a 20 in the pot, and they were like, "It's amazing." Saturday's event. There's an owners of a place called Josh's Cellars Wine. There's a winemaker called Josh
Cellars.
Josh Cellars. Their label pledged to match that amount with a donation of their own, and the hospital said that it plans to share some of the donations with the Joshua Collinsworth Memorial Foundation that promotes water safety with its Josh the Otter mascot, who also attended Saturday's battle.
Oh my god. So never name your kid Josh unless you want to attend this thing.
It was a super popular name when I was growing up.
That's true. I knew a couple Joshes.
I knew a lot of Joshes. Josh Swain, the guy who started this, said he'd like to make the Josh fight an annual event, but he is not sure if he'll be able to keep it up. There's a number of factors in this crazy world, Swain said. I think that the hope is to keep this trend going so that we can keep the good times rolling. So anyways, There's people out there.
That's so random and hilarious.
I don't know. So I was thinking, this is my proposal to you, Miss Wonderful Human Being who has a name that many other people have. Perhaps we need a Sarah fight out there in the world, and you can declare a winner, and you just have to go beat up a bunch of other.
The ultimate Sarah. The ultimate Sara Smackdown.
The ultimate Sarah's. Ooh, I like that. That even has like an alliteration. Not the Josh fight, but the Sara Smackdown. Oh my gosh.
That's too violent. I'm not a violent person.
But
also the Sarahs I know I'm pretty sure are not violent either.
Yeah, they're all pretty much wonderful people.
I don't know though. Your sister.
My sister is Sarah too. She might fight you. Yeah, she'll come at you with the we'll do. Maybe it'll be a pillow fight, or I like the pool noodle idea. That's pretty.
So were they like just fighting with pool noodles, or was it like lightsaber pool noodles?
There's like a ton of videos and pictures from the event.
Really?
Oh yeah, the first time it happened.
Oh man.
I'll share some because they are just awesome. There's so much. It just looks like they're just all having a great amount of fun. The pandemic has brought a lot of pain to this world, but it created so much boredom that people just started fighting over their names.
We get pretty desperate.
Oh man. All right, now I'm really excited about the new segment where Liam we're going to bring in Liam for this next segment, and so
all right. So welcome to our next segment of our podcast for today. I'm going to have our son Liam, who is, how old are you, buddy?
5.
He's going to tell us a Bible story that he's been learning about lately. So tell us, Liam, what Bible story have you been learning about lately?
The only one I know is Jonah.
Okay, so why don't you tell me about the story of Jonah?
So the story of Jonah begins in first. Jonah was a good guy and he gave messages out. But then one time God made him out do a message that he didn't want to. So he decided to run away from God but on a boat. But God was still with him. So then a storm came and he had to be thrust off the boat into a whale's mouth. But then he decided to get lost off on land, and he prayed in the whale's thing, and then he was lost off on land, and then he was and then he went to the Nineveh, and he decided to do the message, which was making people all become good.
Ah, okay. So you said that Jonah had to be thrown into the water, into the mouth of the fish. Why did he have to be thrown into the water?
Because he wanted to save the people from dying.
Ah, what was God's message for the people of Nineveh?
He needed to make everybody good and stop letting them slap people in the face.
All right. Why do you like that Bible story, buddy?
Because it's my favorite one.
It's your favorite one? What's your favorite part of the Bible story?
When he runs away on the boat and then he just gets lost off into the river. And then he just runs away on the boat expecting God to not get him, and then God actually is with him.
God is actually with him, right?
Yeah.
So what would you do if you got swallowed by a big giant fish?
I would just pray and pray, and then God would make the whale sliced in half, and I could jump out the whale into the sea and swim back to shore.
Ah, I see. Okay. So how does that story end, the story of Jonah?
It's end in a good way.
All right, there you have it, folks. The story ends in a good way. That's our Bible story retelling, courtesy of Liam. Say bye.
Bye.
All right, are you ready for our sponsors?
I am ready.
It's time for Sponsor of Our Life. Yay! Let's see. So the way this works is every week we bring up a wonderful product or service or movie, TV show, just something that is being wonderful and sponsoring our life today. And so, my lovely wife, what is sponsoring your life today?
What's sponsoring my life today? Well, this is super random, but we are working on our garden this year. And the company that I purchased our seeds from this year is called Peaceful Valley.
Peaceful Valley.
They are an organic... Well, they provide a lot of organic gardening supplies and seeds and plants. And I gotta say, this is the first time I've ever planted a lot of my stuff from seed, and everything is growing.
Wow.
Like,
okay.
Everything.
Your
is
whole
growing.
garden's just popping up.
And it's looking great. So I'm super excited to see what turns out this year.
Nice.
And so yeah, I guess we'll say my sponsor, or I'll sponsor Peaceful Valley Gardening, because it's a
Peaceful Valley Gardening Seeds, because they're coming in clutch.
They're looking
with
real
growth
good,
all over the place. All right, I am going to go a little more local with ours because we just had some earlier today, and I'm going to give a shout out. The sponsor of my life this week is Cops and Robbers Ice Cream. It's a wonderful little local place, and they're expanding and growing, but especially I want to give a shout out to the Peanut Butter Chaos. It's a little sundae that they have on there. It's peanut butter and chocolate ice cream, covered in peanut butter, covered in chocolate, covered in awesome.
I mean, talking about that local Michigan flavor, it's their ice cream is from Country Dairy, which is located in Michigan. So.
Yeah, Country Dairy Ice Cream, which not just a fantastic ice cream place, but everything that they do is like a pun related to cows. Like all their oh, it hurts. Well, and that's what mine is, right? I get the peanut butter chocolate ice cream.
Bliss, yeah.
It's called Peanut Utter Bliss. Let's see, what was yours called?
Nutty Java Moo.
Nutty Java Moo.
It's very delicious. Almonds, coffee flavor. Really, the total package.
Wonderful sponsors. I absolutely want to give a shout out. I love Cops and Robbers. We go there entirely too much, to the point where the employees know who I am, and that's kind of when I know I've been somewhere too much, is when the employees start to like recognize you, and it's like, oh no, I'm here too much. All right, so for our final bit, final segment, I'm really excited about this because it's a surprise bit. I came up with it, but you don't even know what it is. And so you have to guess the name of the bit based on its theme song, which I'm going to hum for you, okay?
Oh dear, okay.
I'm not really going to hum. I'm going to just make noises.
Oh, okay.
All right, here we go. Bow now now, down now now, down now now now. Bow 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 down, bow bow bow. Familiar?
Oh, yes.
What's the song? Bow now now, down now now, down now now now.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
Yeah, it's the end of the world as we know it.
Okay.
But what's the final line in that song? Is and brown brown brown. Right?
And I feel fine.
Yeah. All right. So our new segment is called "It Is the End of the World," and I feel fine.
Good, okay.
I'm
so curious.
Where we cover news stories and various things about the end of the world, because there's so much going on in our society and our culture that people are just freaking out. Every big news story is, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. Oh my gosh, the end is coming. The apocalypse, Revelation's about to unfold. And they've only been doing that for the last
2,000 years.
And so I do want to say, like, on a serious note, like, there's a lot of people who are out there to make money by scaring people, talking about the end of the world. And so I'm going to poke fun at this stuff because the Bible's pretty clear. We are not going to know when this stuff happens, right? The end of the world is unknown to us. It's going to come like a thief in the night. No one will know the hour when it's going to come happening. So anybody comes to you and says, I know exactly how the end of the world is going to come, you can go ahead and not listen to them. Right? Like,
Okay.
you just go ahead and put that right in the garbage. Another great key factor is that, so two pieces. First, if they are selling anything, it's nonsense, right? Just throw it away, because if it truly was the end of the world, they have no need for money, they have no need for profit, or you know what I mean. So like, if they're selling you a book or a pamphlet or buy this thing and the end of the world is coming, you should know that they are just lying to you, and there's no reason to make money if it was really the end of the world. Second, real prophets never get it wrong. So anytime a prophet says, hey, I miscalculated, like if they get it wrong, you didn't miscalculate. You have outed yourself as a false prophet, right? Like, you're not really a prophet. Okay, so that's my little rant about the end of the world type stuff, because I have a axe to grind against. They make me so grumpy because
rightfully so.
They're out there scaring people, and people, like, there's so much going on in our world, and it's like, guys, stop listening to these crackpots. So, all right, so I found this wonderful article, and it's called "The Best Apocalypses in History." And so I just want to go through these fabulous apocalypses. It says, the end of the world is near. Again, for centuries, doomsdayers have prophesied the apocalypse, but there's a tiny catch. None of the end of the world predictions ever come true. So, apocalypse predictions for 2022. So first we're going to talk about the ones for this year. Okay. And then there's ones coming up, the ones that have failed in the past, okay?
Okay.
So, first one is the computer brain. There is a theory that the computers are going to take over the world and subjugate the human race with the rise of artificial intelligence and the fact that we're all glued to our screens. Some people think that it's coming together. It's Nostradamus gets partial credit for this one. Let's see. In the underbelly of the internet, it is embellished with all kinds of fantastical details about an army of robots controlled by a single super intelligent computer brain, literally enslaving us. Given that we're still working on perfecting chatbots, that's unlikely to happen anytime soon.
Wow.
So I think this fits in the vein of Hollywood predictions, right? Much like our mutant gerbil hamster.
Yes.
I don't know. Like, I feel like, let's see. I'm trying to count that's present in Terminator, right? I think there's actually a movie called AI, isn't there?
I'm pretty sure,
Yep.
yeah.
So that one's out there. iRobot was very like that. The robots are going to turn on us.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of some more examples. There are a lot of examples of computers turning on humanity as the end of the world.
It's a pretty popular plot.
All right, and the second big apocalypse coming in 2022 is, and this one also comes from Nostradamus, he predicts a large meteorite or asteroid will hit the Earth in 2022, exactly like he also predicted for 2021.
Seems like it's really going to happen. I can't wait.
His track record for predicting the major space rock encounters is a little sketchy. Of course, 2022, according to astronomers, will actually have its fair share of space rocks falling from the sky. But fear not, those are meteors, and they are completely harmless and awesome to watch. All right, this one I've actually heard. So this is the third and final end of the world for 2022 prediction.
Okay.
The supervolcano eruption.
Ooh.
Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't.
Really? You haven't heard about this? The Yellowstone supervolcano.
No.
Underneath Yellowstone Park is an actual supervolcano.
Okay.
And people are like, it's gonna pop, right? If that thing erupted, it literally would destroy, like, all of America. I mean, apparently the size is just astronomical. And it's always been there, but people just found it or discovered, like, it just became publicly known just recently. Okay. But experts say, so the experts say that there is no reason whatsoever to believe that the Yellowstone supervolcano will ever erupt. But that doesn't stop the internet from blaring out random predictions that it will do just that.
Of course.
I just,
what is the internet good for if not for fueling fear and rage and ridiculous things amongst people?
and profits, right? And clicks. You know, you will click on it if it's great.
Oh my gosh,
So
seriously.
what I love about this article is it points out these ridiculous apocalyptic predictions, but then it goes back over the best doomsday predictions that fizzled.
Okay.
Now, if you Google the end of the world, it actually pops up. There's a movie called The End of the World. It came out in 2018.
Wow.
Predictably, you know, it's all about all that stuff.
Of course.
But there was another end of the world movie that came out on a special year. Do you remember that one? With John Cusack?
Yes.
What's that one called?
2012.
2012, right? Why? What was the 2012 premise?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Like the calendar ended or whatever.
Yeah, who predicted that? It was such a big deal in 2012. We were all talking about it. I remember this.
I know, gosh, that was so long ago. I don't even remember.
The Mayans, the Mayan
That's
calendar.
Right, that's
Remember
right.
that?
It ended in 2012.
Yep, the end of the world was predicted to occur on December 21st, 2012, when one of the great cycles of the Mayan calendar came to an end.
That's right.
In the run-up to the day, the internet abounded with predictions about the apocalypse happening on 12/21/12.
Almost 10 years ago now.
Oh man, faced with the wealth of alarmist information available on the World Wide Web, even NASA was compelled to publish an information page on why the world would not end on December 21st, 2012.
I don't mean to freak you guys out, but we just gotta make sure you know for sure this is not actually going to happen.
See, and I don't know. I'm not exactly going to NASA with my end of the world predictions,
Yeah,
you know.
what the heck?
Well, I guess they came in for Bruce Willis, right, in Armageddon. So, you know.
Yeah, just to dispel those fears, you know. Really.
Oh, man. All right, here's another one.
Wow.
Camping and the Rapture. This one comes from 2011. The world was supposed to end on October 21st, 2011. American radio host Harold Camping had arrived at the date for the apocalypse through a series of calculations that he claimed were based on Jewish feast days and the lunar calendar.
Yeah, sure, why not? Wow.
He predicted, before October 21st, he also predicted May 21st, 2011, at precisely 6 p.m. God's elect people would be assumed into heaven in an event he called the rapture, which is not just what he calls it. That word has been around for a lot longer. Those who were not raptured, he said, would have to remain on earth to wait for their doom 5 months later. According to some media... Okay, so first off, let's just talk about what May 22nd would have looked like in that guy's house, right? He's like, God's elect are all going to get raptured on the 21st, and everyone else has to deal with the end of the world for 5 months before the world ends in October. And then May 22nd rolls around, and he's like, well, either I was wrong, or I'm not one of God's elect. Like...
Actually, the reality is May 22nd, I'm sorry, you lost your job.
Oh my goodness. But here's the part that bothers me. According to media reports, some of his followers quit their jobs, sold their homes, and invested large amounts of money in publicizing his predictions.
No.
See, that's where it really gets me. This end of the world stuff is a great money-making scheme, preying on people's fear. Yeah, that's why.
That's no good.
Oh man, it really gets my goat, or just makes me so grumpy about it. All right, October 21st, the self-proclaimed prophet stated that, well, nobody could know exactly when the time of the apocalypse would come. It's like, I'm pretty sure you just spent 6 months
you just
telling
tried to
everybody.
Tell us you knew exactly when. So what's the story here?
Oh man, all right,
Wow.
so failed. You know what it sounds like though, like where he's like, May. Oh, just kidding. I miscalculated. It's October. What's it remind you of?
The guy from Parks and Rec. Who's
Yeah.
like, the world's going to end. Zorp's going to come. I'm sorry. Wait, what was the date there was an ice cream social? I'm sorry, I got it wrong by a week. It was the following week.
Oh my gosh. It's just the reasonablest from the TV show Parks and Rec, who predict the world will end every couple of years, and just, ugh.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
And again, let me remind you, the biblical example is that when a prophet comes, we are to test every spirit. And if they are wrong, they have outed themselves as a false prophet. I'm going to put on my serious hat for a second, because it just, especially, these people lost their incomes. They sold their homes and invested money in this guy, and,
I mean, he's bad for, encouraging them this way. But they're pretty bad for believing in that.
Oh boy, for jumping on that train. And I think there's a lot of energy around people like wishing that it was coming. It's like,
Oh my God.
I am ready for the end of the world. I just hope it comes. And it's like, okay, and I do want to be clear. The Bible does talk about the end of the world. There's a whole book, Revelation, that talks about, what it's going to look like, but it's full of symbolism, and there's a lot of like, symbols and elements that we don't understand, and metaphors, and it's like, we don't know. The real answer is we don't know what it's all going to look like when it all goes down. And you really just keep living your life and preparing yourself as a Christian should, right? Mm-hmm. All right, I have two more.
Okay.
The one is Black Hole from Geneva. Scientists use the Large Hadron Collider near Geneva, Switzerland, to set up controlled collisions of particles at very high speeds. The experiments have caused some to believe that the energy set free by the collisions will form a black hole powerfully enough to consume the Earth and all life on it.
Oh.
This one actually, like, it's not like an end of the world mystical thing. It's hey, they made a science thing over there, and it's probably going to blow us all up.
I don't know what they're doing over there, but it's kind of scary.
But once again, several high-profile studies have concluded that no such dangers are actually associated with the experiments that are conducted at the Super Collider.
Wow. That's so crazy.
Yeah, I've heard that one for a long time. People are like, I'm pretty sure if you turn on that machine, it's going to create a black hole on the Earth. And that has not actually materialized, and it has not happened. No such black hole has been sighted yet. All right, the last one is probably, I would say, the most famous and classic in our lifetime. Okay. Y2K and the Millennium Bug. You remember this?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, we were little. Like I was
little. I was 13.
Yeah, like we were middle school kids, right? And I remember everybody freaking out, and then everybody thinking, oh, we just have to reset our clocks or something, and then everybody just kind of moving around. It says, towards the end of the second millennium, people around the world feared that the world would end simultaneously with the beginning of the year 2000, or Y2K. This prediction was based on the practice followed by computer programmers of abbreviating years to 2 digits and then developing software. So they thought that at the turn of the century, 00 for 2000 would revert back to 1900 and lead software errors. And they thought that that would turn off like airplanes and nuclear weapons, and it would blow up the whole world. However, at midnight on January 1st, 2000, the world celebrated the new year, and no planes dropped out of the sky.
Yep, I remember that.
Oh, there's a few more on here, but I just think that it's such the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine.
I'm still here. Still here, guys.
If you guys, listeners, if you guys come up with any like apocalypse stories or any stories where you're like, it's the end of the world, you send them in, and
I would love to see those.
We will absolutely debunk them and rip them apart, because I think this could be a recurring segment, because truly, it's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. All right. Are you ready for the mom joke of the week?
I am.
All right, let's hear it.
All right. Why do you never see elephants hiding in trees?
What? I don't know. Why do I never see elephants hiding in trees?
Because they're so good at it.
Oh, you bye, everybody.